United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. It is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. It's the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors meeting at the Mitchell County Courthouse. And we have a room full. Anyways, before us we have an agenda. Read it. If there's any additions or corrections or changes. If not, do we have any motions to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Todd has made a motion.
Second.
Jim has seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Moving down, approve the minutes of the April 27th meeting. Hopefully we've read them. Is there any additions or corrections to last week's meeting's minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mark has made a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mike has seconded.
Any discussion? Roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
So we approved the minutes of April 27th meeting. Moving down, discussion and action on Mental Health Proclamation Month. And this proclamation is Resolution 1090-21. And I'll read it, hopefully not mess that up. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans face challenges in life that can impact their mental health, especially during a pandemic, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there are practical tools that all people can use to improve their mental health and increase resiliency, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead a full, productive lives, and whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen share the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention and treatment efforts. Therefore, we, the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors, Todd Fryan, Jim Weary, Steve Smollett, Mike Meyer, Mark Hendrickson, do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Mental Health Month in Mitchell County. As the Board of Supervisors, we also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Mitchell County to commit to our community in increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, and the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. Okay, so there's our resolution. Is there any discussion here? You may have the floor.
Thank you. My name is Sheila Kobluska, and this is Terry During and Kathy Hegel. All three of us work at Mitchell County Regional Health Center, and we direct a program called Senior Life Solutions. It's an intensive outpatient program for seniors. It's been here in Osage probably for 6 years. Wonderful, wonderful program that has really helped seniors in our community to remain in their home, be as healthy as they can. With COVID now especially, we have a lot of people who have been isolated, especially those who have maybe lost a spouse or a loved one. They're the people that we can serve and make their quality of life so much better. And our organization is Psychiatric Medical Care, and they are really strong believers in providing mental health coverage and services to people with mental illness. And it's through them that we have asked the board to sign this proclamation. So we want to thank you so much. Megan and Ashley are here. They also deal a lot with mental health services as well, so it's good that you girls are here today. So I just have some things to drop off. And can we have a picture with us three with the being signed? Would that be all right? With the proclamation being signed?
I'm sure that's not a problem.
Okay. Otherwise, anybody have any questions on any of that, or? Okay. Really promoted everybody. You know, green is a color. We have some green ribbons. Is it okay if we would drop one off to be put up around the courthouse, or? We're gonna drop some green ribbons off this week.
Yeah.
And maybe
Set
the
'em at
community
the
services
auditors,
building.
Give some to the auditor's office there,
Okay.
and they can pass them out.
Okay, we will do that. And please, any questions or anything, give us a holler. Numbers on here, so.
Okay. Anyways, do we have any motions?
I'll move to approve resolution 1090-21.
Jim has made a motion.
I will second that.
Mike has seconded.
Any discussion? Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye. So, the resolution 1090-21 has been approved.
Can you come behind to be by your side, or how do you want to do that?
I guess, however you think,
If we can have a couple on each, or whatever is best, but a couple on
however,
each
where do
side.
you want to
Yeah,
have
sorry.
it done at?
Yeah,
Or the
that-
king's chair.
We can do it.
We can go behind. We can just all that.
Okay.
On this side.
Ready?
I can get all of them.
Jim, I can't see you.
Oh, you want the whole room?
Yes, ready?
Okay.
Is that okay? It doesn't matter.
Why don't you get the whole group and then get just
Okay.
us two? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Smile.
Smile.
Get our mask on.
That's pretty cool.
That'll work.
Okay.
That's close enough.
Get closer,
Okay.
get closer.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you again so much, everyone.
You bet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I
Yes.
did see somebody else show up. They can't come in here. Yeah, if they'd like. There he comes. Moving on, County Attorney General discussion. Mark, are you out there?
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything for us?
I have something, but it's really kind of from last week. And I visited with some members of Conservation Board, and what they would like to know is, on that wetlands project, if they could pre-sell some credits, if they could move some projects around, so maybe delay some, so that they don't have to request any money from the Board of Supervisors, and if they're willing to be the ones who make the decision on whether that should go forward or not, which of course they're going to, they would be willing to talk to the landowners and things like that. If the Board of Supervisors would have a problem if they proceeded in that manner. Now, I know that's something you probably don't want to make the decision on today because it's not on the agenda. And just for full disclosure, I want everyone to know I thought the wetland was a good idea. You know, that's ultimately up to you. You know, the previous board thought it was a good idea. Now, you may have differing opinions for different reasons, but I just want to disclose I'm not coming forward with this just because I had some requests to come forward with it. I think it was a good idea. I continue to think it was a good idea. Now, maybe it isn't, but they just wanted to know if they could pre-sell some credits, which they think they can, and then shift some money forward to delay some projects. If objections if they went forward with that project.
I guess that's the decision made by 5.
That's something we put on the agenda for an upcoming meeting then, and just discuss it and vote on what you just said then, is that?
Yeah, you can discuss it amongst yourself if you want to today, but not take any action. And if you just kind of say, no, I don't think that's a good idea, then it's done. Or if somebody says, yeah, I think that's a good idea, let's put it on the agenda for next week and discuss it some more. It's up to you. They just wanted to know, because they're pretty confident they can pre-sell some credits to get some money, and then maybe do some, just slight delay in some projects so they don't need to get any money from the county to do this. If the Board of Supervisors is going to say, well, we told you we didn't want this done, so you shouldn't have done it, or if the Board of Supervisors would say, okay, since you don't need any money, that's your decision if you want to go forward with it, but then you deal with the landlord owners. We're going to say that's your decision, not ours. So
Well,
that's basically the question.
why don't we just have Rachel ask the consensus of the board of what they want to do to proceed?
You want to do that today, or you want to put it on the agenda?
Well, ask the consensus of the board members. You choose who you want to ask first, if they want this to proceed or not.
Start with Todd.
I'm, like last week, I'm okay with it. I think it's a good idea, so I'm gonna stick with that. So I'm okay with them moving forward if they've got the money and wanna take care of the legwork.
Mark?
Maybe 1st of June, bring it back and see where they're gonna find the money, and then are they gonna sell the credits and for how much?
Well, the idea is that they would sell credits, and that would be how they would get money to proceed.
I don't know how much they're gonna sell them for, and they're going from 30 to 40,000.
Steve?
My understanding is they can actually pre-sell some credits before the program is even finished, or maybe even started. That because once the project is approved, there's an assumption made that it's going to be completed. I suppose if they don't complete it, they have to get that money back, but they can actually pre-sell credits before the program is done.
And I think they could sell credits still like 15%, didn't they, when it got started?
I didn't catch that.
Couldn't they only sell 15% of them before, when they got the project started?
I don't know the exact figure.
You don't know. We think it's a good idea. Maybe 1st of June, would that be all right? Guess not.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't know your last, 1st of June for,
To bring it back to the board
okay.
with some ideas that conservation has. 'Cause there were a lot of unknowns last week.
So what you're saying is to have the conservation put together maybe a little more of a plan as far as what they're actually figuring on doing here.
Correct. I'd be good with that. Just my thought.
Okay.
So we aren't going on with the consensus then of the board?
Oh, yeah. That's
Well,
just my thought.
we won't stop there, we got 3 more here.
No.
Well, I don't know, I would say if they can make the boat float, and, it's not gonna cost the county any money, and before it was too many unanswered, and it could be a gamble, if they can come up with a plan that's gonna work and be profitable, or at least break even or whatever,
I would agree with that as far as if conservation can pay for this and manage this and make it happen, then I'm totally for it.
I mean, they got a lot of dirt to figure out what they should do, what they should do with.
Well, we might have a spot for that when we're burying the building.
Well, but not 30 acres of 2 to 3 foot deep of dirt, that's a lot of dirt.
So you'll have
You gotta start trucking that, that's a lot of money. That's what I mean, they need a better plan, but.
I think that's actually, if they can sell that dirt,
Well, you can.
I mean,
If it's
black
decent dirt,
dirt's gold, so.
If it is black dirt, it might be sand under there, how do you know, you know?
But that's part of the project, as
Yeah.
far as the designer and,
Right.
you know, that's a project
Right.
question.
I mean, if they get it figured out, there's too many unanswered questions, I thought, felt to proceed.
All right, well, there's our answer. It'll be June, somewhere's there, June, in early June, there'll be a decision made then.
And that would give them time to get
After
it.
they come up with their ideas and plan.
Okay, I'll tell them that, thanks. I don't have anything else.
All right, thank you, Mark. Moving on. Oh, I guess, did any of us have anything for county attorney? All right, thank you, Mark. Sheriff's update, and I don't see the sheriff, so I guess we'll move on down to county engineer.
Morning.
Rich, good morning.
Few updates. DOT's gonna be closing Highway 9 in Worth County, using Balsam Avenue as a detour. They're gonna be taking a culvert out and replacing it. Probably a week and a half closure on Highway 9, so not a big deal. Speaking of Balsam Avenue, got a call from the contractor who was in contract to do the bridge work. Wanted to kind of get a schedule on what they plan on doing. They don't have anything firm yet. They were talking maybe late season construction, but they didn't know if they were gonna have enough work to get them to last that long. It might be earlier, but I don't have any confirmed date yet, but it's probably gonna be later in the season than earlier. And then we had a pre-con with Hinkle last week on the Bailey Bridge, and it sounds like late July they'll mobilize in and start working on that bridge, so. Those are the updates on construction. We have a resolution to discuss for speed limit north of Stacyville. The existing speed zone starts just outside of city limits at 25 miles an hour. The speed zone ahead sign is about 600 and some odd feet away from that location, which according to some design standards is too close. So if we can move the speed limit zone back to the property line of the industrial park, we could meet a 1,200 foot speed reduction going from 25 to 55, going from 55 to 25, or we can put a 45 mile an hour speed zone in at the industrial park. So what I'm proposing and what I'm recommending is put the 45 mile an hour speed limit at the start of the industrial park. It gives them time to slow down to the 25 mile an hour speed zone where they get into town, so it's not such a big abrupt slowdown for traffic coming into town. Traffic's coming off the curve north of there there's an advisory speed limit on the curve of 50 miles an hour, so it's not that much of a reduction from the curve to 45 anyway, and they'll be at least 45 miles an hour to get in and out of the industrial drive, the industrial park there in town.
Okay, so.
I think that'd be a good idea, especially with a new business going in there too.
Yep, there's no traffic counts on the industrial drive road, but with the businesses in there, with the ready mix plant, the diesel mechanic, the used car dealership there, and a couple of the businesses in there,
The doggy
yeah,
daycare.
they're gonna get that in there. So there's traffic in and out of there, we just don't know how much that is, they've never counted, so. But if we move the speed zone back for 25 back there, they're slowing down before they get there anyway. So it's really kind of almost a moot point to 45, but we'll put it up there and then they'll have a distinct speed zone there.
Okay.
Sounds like a good plan, I think.
Is there any discussion on that resolution 1091-21? Hearing none. Do we have any motions to approve this resolution as the county engineer has described?
I'll move to approve that resolution 91-21.
Mike has made a motion.
I'll second that.
Mark has seconded it.
Any discussion? Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Motion 1091-22 has been approved.
City will thank you.
All right, do you have any more for us, Rich?
I have nothing else today.
Do we have anything for Rich?
Any ideas on the dirt work, Rich?
I was gonna talk to you yesterday and I just missed you, so we'll talk about,
Okay.
if you wanna talk later about timing.
Sure. I've got
I was gonna ask you about what your hubs meant out there, as far as the top of the hub?
No,
Okay,
based off the, fire hydrant, and I've got cuts.
okay, because I saw you had lath out there by the parking lot where top of slab is, but we
Yeah,
can
and
get
that,
together and find out what we need for fill and whatnot, so.
I've got some things I copied, I'll give to you.
Okay,
All the
good.
cuts are on there for all the
Okay,
elevations.
and then we're out blading right now, trying to get the moisture up, so when we start seeing some weather turn, we're getting the radio put in a little hole and getting a bucket rental for that one, so.
I'll talk with you today.
Yep,
tomorrow,
whatever.
yeah,
Good.
very good.
Just for the building out here?
Yeah. They're gonna come in and strip the sod and put in the base.
Probably sooner the better, if not sure they're gonna.
Do you know what the schedule is on how soon the contractor wants to be in?
June,
Okay,
right? June,
I don't know.
yeah, I think Dave knows more in June.
okay, then I'll say that probably within the next week or two, we'll probably get on that to get that tore out, but we'll need that information so we can, we'll meet with you guys
I
then.
gotta get a compactor lined up, and,
Okay.
but, if nothing else, I don't have that lined up right when you're ready for doing the rock, we'll at least get 6 inches of rock in there so we don't
Yep,
have rain on the dirt, so. but I'll do that.
okay.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. We'll move on down to number 7, discussion and possible action on detention membership with Central Iowa Detention. So, I'll let you have the floor, I guess. You want to be-
Got a quick handout for you here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, I didn't want to jump over.
Yeah.
I hurt myself. Do I need to wear the mask, or is that
No.
optional?
Wonderful.
Wanted to make sure. All right, so I'm Tony Reed with Central Iowa Detention. Thanks for having me here today. We're a multi-county organization. We're owned and operated currently by 30 counties throughout Iowa. The first handout I gave you, anybody in the crowd want one? First handout I gave you is basically just a picture of the map of Iowa. Kind of breaks down the juvenile detention affiliation by center. We are the Central Iowa Detention Center, located in Eldora. All the dark green counties are member counties with our facility. The light green counties actually contract with our facility. So with this, we cover about 50 counties throughout Iowa. Like I mentioned earlier, 30 of them own and operate the organization as members, and that's what we're here to talk about today. We've had a long-standing relationship with Mitchell County through transportation services, detention services. We work with your mental health region. And at this point, we're looking to offer Mitchell County the opportunity to join our agency. Currently, Mitchell County uses North Iowa Detention and Central Iowa Detention, our agency. So you're using 2 agencies right now currently. By not being a member, though, we charge a higher rate for non-members. Similar to a co-op, really, for that sake. The members give themselves a better price, which is, some argue it's not fair, but it seems fair if you're a member. So, with that, over the years we've added, we started out with 6 counties. We were the smallest center in Iowa for a long time. We were the newest center, formed back in '94. Since we were formed, though, we've added 24 other members, and we've added 20 other affiliate counties. So we've grown drastically while most other detention centers have shrunk. The center you currently belong to, the Waterloo Detention Center, 8 of their counties have jumped ship and come on board with us. So it just kind of shows like where the changes are happening. It is okay to have dual membership. I know that was one of the questions that was asked by Ashley. That is an option. You'll see some of these counties have 2 different colors, kind of a little diagonal line on there. That means those counties do have membership at both centers. However, there's been 5 other counties that have joined us that were also dual members with North Iowa, and over the years they've just canceled their membership with North Iowa. I think I'm not a salesperson, but I think our best selling point is we've never had a county leave. And when it comes to service and quality and pricing, that's your card. That's the best thing that I can tell you today. We're the only regional detention center that's never had a county leave in the state of Iowa. Every other regional detention center has had many counties leave, and they've all come to our agency. Service-wise, I think any experts in the field will tell you we offer the best service, which is why you're currently putting some of your kids with us. We offer a large range of services. Within juvenile detention, we offer psychological services. We have a psychologist on staff, which we all know there's a lot of mental health needs in the community. There's a lot of mental health needs with juveniles, and oftentimes mental health needs are what are creating the delinquency that gets a kid into detention. So us having the opportunity to do psychological, even psychiatric testing, we have a psychiatrist on staff, gives you the opportunity to really find out what's going on and hopefully treat a kid and therefore fix the delinquency to keep it from recurring in the future. I'm probably talking too much, so I guess I'll open it up. Any questions you guys have?
You talked, we were just thinking about being a member. You also talked, some people are contract with you, so if we're just a member, is there somebody from our board that sits in on your board meetings or not? Or?
Great question. As a member, we would have one county supervisor that would be, you guys would elect and put on our board, similar to other boards. So yeah, you'd have one board member that would serve on our board. We also ask for an alternate. So that's kind of how our organizations run. We have a meeting every 2 months. And with that, there's a county supervisor from each of those 30 member counties. We offer in-person, and also we do offer a Zoom option for meetings also. Good question, I should have covered that.
Is there a budgetary commitment that we need to?
We don't charge any rate to join, we don't charge a rate to leave, we don't charge an annual rate, so there's no financial commitment. As weird as it sounds, we bill very similar to a hotel. If you send us a kid for a day, we send you a bill for a day. If you send a kid for 3 days, we send you a bill for 3 days. The unfortunate part about juvenile delinquency, it's very sporadic. You could go a long time with even having a kid in detention, you go months, and then all of a sudden you get one kid that stays for 4 months, and now you've got a 120-day bill. Your current rate that you're paying, I'm kind of moving on to this chart, the bar graph chart, yep. Top one basically looks at your current options. You can become a member with us, we're the light orange bar. If you're a member with us, you'd be paying $60 a day. At North Iowa, where you're currently a member, you pay $125 a day. So we're a little less than half the price, plus we offer more services, which is part of the reason why we've grown drastically and others have shrunk. The bottom chart looks at your current rates. With us, you're putting kids there as a non-member, which is $200 a day. If you're a member, it's $60. So the membership truly pays off. There's no doubt about it. There's no annual fee. And oftentimes people try to say, well, that's just this year. We've never charged them. We've been around since '94. We've never charged members an annual fee. So that's a pretty long history of not doing it. So it's not like it's not like we're a fly-by-night organization. We currently have no debt. We have an operating excess every year. One of the reasons we have that is we offer, I've only talked juvenile detention so far, we offer 8 major core services. Detention was our first, which is why the agency is named Central Iowa Detention. Like I said, that was formed in '94. Then we started to branch out into other services. Transportation in '97. We provide over $1 million a year in transportation. So pretty large business there. Transportation for juvenile delinquents, for DHS, for juvenile court, for mental health regions, kind of a wide variety of transportation. Tracking services for juvenile court we provide. We provide fiscal services for DCATs and early childhood Iowa areas, coordination services. Drug testing is our largest service. We provide that for the Department of Human Services. We provide all the drug testing for all the DHS clients for the entire state of Iowa. So that's our big service. In addition to that, counseling, some of the therapy services I talked about earlier, assessments, psychological and psychiatric assessments, dependency assessments, even sexual offender assessments. So a lot of different services, which is what makes our organization strong. Other questions?
Do you ever fill up where you don't have room?
We don't. Detention, like I said, it's very sporadic.
Right.
So you tend to overbuild. You build for you build for double your average capacity. So if we think we're going to average 30 a day, you build 60 beds. We have 60 beds and we average about 31 a day. So if we got 29 kids in, which is a pretty slim chance, we'd be full. But that hasn't happened since we built on. So
You got room.
we got room. It's always a possibility. It's very, very, very slight. If that is the case, then we'd move somebody out. And usually we'll hold some non-members, and they actually are the ones that would get moved out first. So that's another privilege of membership.
Do we pay a fee that belong to the other one right now? You don't really? No.
We were budgeted to, we're committed to, I think it's $6,500 a year, but we only pay it if we use it.
Okay.
Is that correct? Does that sound correct?
I'm not aware of anything that we pay outside of our bills, so that sounds right.
I think you're correct. I used to work at the water facility, so I'm pretty in tune with. Their billing is similar to ours. They don't charge the annual fee. They do set up what they anticipate your budget would be, but you don't pay it if you don't use it. So very, very similar in that regard.
How do you get a student down there?
What's that?
How do you get the child down to the?
With our transportation network, we actually have a contract with Juvenile Court Services for District 2, which Mitchell County is a part of. So we would be able to transport that juvenile at no cost to your county. And that's another advantage that our center has by having a contract with your Juvenile Court Services office. And then that is paid by coroner services through the state of Iowa. So it kind of gets you guys off the hook for it. Not that you're looking to get off the hook for expenses. None of us are doing that, right?
So when we had the youth, question to you, when we had the youth that went down to this facility, that was a judge that decided that that's what had to happen, is that correct?
30-day evaluation, yeah.
Okay, so then the other services, as far as the detention and other things that North Iowa serves, they have the same type of services. This is something that you would decide who decides that, where those people go?
Juvenile court services decide.
The judge decides all of that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, the judge makes the order for the evaluation, and because Central Iowa Detention is the only detention center that completes these evaluations, then that's where that juvenile will go.
but the services that North Iowa offers that we utilize, who decides?
Juvenile court services
Okay.
decide where they go.
All right.
And we have, you've been in contact with them?
Yep.
All right.
And so we can say we just tell them where it is that we preference, but of course, if there's like not an open bed or something, then they would.
Okay, I guess that's what I was wondering, you have some sort of say as far as where we would go. Okay.
Is Saragordo County the one that's dropping out? Did you mention something about that here a while back?
Yeah, if they're leaving our region.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think it's a good idea if it's an easy transaction for us,
Yeah.
and for you guys.
Yeah, the cost per day is cheaper.
I was wondering too, if you can, is it because North Iowa Juvenile Detention doesn't offer the 30-day evaluations, is that something that Mitchell County can just contract with you guys to provide just that service?
You can also do that. We do quite a few of those that are provided for kids that are not in the detention center. So it's something that can be provided outside of that. But for kids that are in the detention center, it's the perfect fit, because then the kid isn't just sitting in detention waiting and
Sure.
waiting and waiting. They're getting the service done while they're there. So it's taking care of two things at once, basically. So, but we do provide that outside of detention for outpatient type services. And even like psychological assessments, parenting assessments, a lot of sex offender assessments. A lot of those are more outpatient. The 30-day is more of a while in detention type service, because it's monitoring behavior on a daily basis and looking for behavioral changes, which you can't really track that with the kids in the community.
Yeah.
Good question. The process itself is pretty painless. Your board would basically request membership of our organization. Our board would vote on it. Our board has already put Mitchell in the group of counties that we would accept, so it's not that they're going to vote you down. Pretty painless process.
Do the gals have a preference of which one to use? One better than the other, you think?
If we can hold dual membership, I guess I see benefit in it. That $6,000 bill was a big hit on our juvenile budget. We've had quite a bit of juvenile claims this fiscal year. We start out that budget with $32,000. After April's claims, we have about $11,000 remaining. So we've had a lot of juvenile expenses. So I think being or holding dual membership at both of them, if that's gonna give us a better rate, I see a benefit in that.
And with that, for your standard kid that comes to detention, you're looking at, 60 a day versus $125 a day. So it's,
We gotta be clear on that though, also, that the $125 is a day is for the first 30 days, then they drop their rate.
is the rate lower after 30 days?
Yeah, that's at 50, and they're gonna increase it to 75 because they wanna offer some more services, so, your 60, is that right from day one throughout the whole thing then?
Correct.
Okay.
And the average length of stay in detention is about 14 days. So, obviously it's sporadic from kid to kid, but that's our overall average. So a couple weeks, pretty short term.
And that $60 too is also, it depends on, like, if a child has behaviors, if they need medications, all that kind of stuff, then that does increase.
Yeah, medication and those things are added to that, so similar to jail. So we don't, if we have a $30 medication that was for your kid, we obviously fill it for best practice, and then we do send a bill for that. Okay. Other questions or thoughts?
I guess I got a question for Jim. You indicated in a meeting or two back that North Iowa Detention was going to modify some, have some changes, and what were those changes? Were they going to be versus what their services, would they be comparable once they change, make these changes?
They wanted to add two services. One is, and you're gonna have to excuse me, I don't know the terms of all the services that they provided, but there was a service that is provided in Cerro Gordo County. Since Cerro Gordo County is leaving this area, then they want to create that same service that's offered in Cerro Gordo County. So that's something they want to develop. And they also want to develop this same service that we had this youth go to Eldora for. They want to create that service also in the future. But they didn't have a time frame when that was actually going to happen.
Okay, there's no time frame as to when that would happen.
And I don't know the names of all these services because there's a number of them.
Youth crisis stabilization
Okay.
services for youth, and then residential, so you go there for crisis stabilization for children, and then the 30-day evaluation. I think what Erica had mentioned was just not being able to find a substance abuse counselor, and she said that that's been really difficult, so that's why they're not able to provide that service, because they don't have somebody in that credential to provide that 30-day.
And psychologists is challenging. When we started this about 8 years ago, it took us about 2.5 years to get a psychologist on board. There just aren't enough in the state of Iowa that are willing to provide service for an agency. And there just aren't enough here in the state of Iowa. So they're tough to find. We spend a lot of time in there.
Any other questions or comments out there? Board discussion?
I think it'd be a good deal.
Okay. So, I guess if we need motions to,
A motion to request membership in the Central Iowa Detention Center.
there you go.
I'll make that motion.
Mark has made a motion.
Second.
Jim has seconded. Any discussion, further discussion?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
So,
Appreciate
that
it.
is that. Thank you.
We'll get you off a copy of the actual paper to sign. You're good to go.
Good.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving down, public health update.
Good morning, guys. Just wanted to give you guys an update of where we're sitting here in Mitchell County for individuals vaccinated, our positive cases, recovered cases, etc. Right now, we have 1,256 confirmed cases of COVID-19. There's been 41 confirmed deaths. For our 14-day positivity rate is 0.5%, which is very low. And right now, we currently have one active case of COVID-19 in Mitchell County. As far as Mitchell County individuals vaccinated, fully vaccinated individuals, whether they got the 2-dose vaccine or single dose, is 3,501 individuals. 99 of those being single dose, 3,402 of those being 2 doses. We have 399 individuals that have initiated the first dose, and they're just waiting on their second dose. So Mitchell County Home Health Public Health has given a total of 7,870 vaccines since February 17th, 2021. So we're continuing to do vaccines. We are talking of closing down the mass vaccination site around June. We have seen a decline in individuals in the interest. So we have about 50 people on our wait list. And we will still continue to give vaccines. We'll just do it out of our office. We just don't have the capacity to be open down there for 400 plus individuals. So we have 2 second doses, May 18th and May 25th that we'll give down there. And then we plan on cleaning up and kind of getting out of there. So we're sitting at about a little over 30% of Mitchell County residents vaccinated. So yeah, any questions for us or concerns or?
Got any ideas on how you can get the other 70% to take some shots?
You know, it's all on education too, support. It's, you know, we have some people that can't get vaccinated till, or choosing not to get vaccinated till June-ish, the end of May, just because they were diagnosed with COVID and want to wait that 90 days. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to see an interest in people.
And you have to remember 16-year-old and younger can't get it. So that's a percentage of it too. So not everybody can get vaccinated.
And there's also individuals, we haven't been able to get the Pfizer vaccine how we wanted it. So there is Pfizer available at your Hy-Vees, Charles City, Mason City, that it's only available for 18 and younger. So we've mainly got Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, which is available for those 18 and older. So anyone that calls that's under 18, which we do have lots of interest, we are encouraging them to go to Hy-Vees, call them. Pfizer has put an FDA or into the FDA to get approved for 12 and older. So our plan is to, if that does get approved and the state does send us Pfizer, we will set up clinics with the schools. Probably before school starts, kind of just have a open house and come and go as you please if you're interested. So we're just waiting for that approval, and then we will discuss that with the schools and go from there. So just good education to them. You know, there's lots of negative things out there on the vaccinations, but we have seen 30%, a little over 30% of our county get vaccinated too. So which is good, better than some counties. So.
Yeah, I got my 2 shots, and all I had was one of the shots hurt. I mean, that afternoon, but the other one didn't, nothing. I had no other effects.
Yeah. And everyone's different. So that's, it's important to know that as well too, so.
All right. Do we have any questions for the public health gals? All
Thank
right.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Moving on then.
Thank you.
Town and Country Days donation request. I'm going to assume the St. Ansgar Community Chamber is applying for $500 to help with the Ag and Horticulture Fair as part of our Town and Country Day celebration. We feel it's important to stress our county and local agricultural past and present. Monies will be used for rent, advertising, and other expenses. Thank you for your consideration, Kathy Paul. So that is what this is, and this request is for, and this is the same as they do every year request. So do we have any discussion from board members? I guess just before we need to have a motion to approve.
I'll move to make that motion.
Todd has made a motion. I'll second. Any further discussion? Rachel?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
So. There's the $500 guess this resolution doesn't have a time limit, does it? So we can just go right on to it, can't we, number 10?
Yep.
Resolution authorizing and approving a certain loan agreement, providing for issuance of $5,895,000 taxable general obligation refunding bond series 2021A, providing for levy of taxes to pay the same, approving an escrow agreement for investment of bond proceeds. So that's pretty self-evident. Is there any discussion on this? Now, do we have to, Rachel, ask the board members if they've had any comments, written or oral? Don't have to go through any of that anymore. Okay. All we need is a couple of motions to approve.
I'll move to approve resolution 1092-21.
Jim has made a motion.
I'll second it.
Mike has seconded. Further discussion? Rachel?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Jim.
Resolutions have been, this resolution has been approved. Move on down to number 11. Resolution authorizing and approving a certain loan agreement, providing for issuance of $2,220,000 in general obligation refund bonds. This is Series 2021B, providing for levy of taxes to pay the same. And this is resolution 1093-21. Further discussion on that? Any discussion with the board? Hearing none, do we have any motions to approve?
I'll move to approve it.
Second that.
Mike has made a motion and Mark has seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Rachel?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye. So, number 11, resolution 1093-21 has been approved. So, moving on, we'll go to number 12. Action on payment in lieu of taxes waiver request, and this is the North Iowa Regional Housing Authority. And this is on the Park Plaza Apartments, total of 10 apartments. The North Iowa Regional Housing Authority is a 28E agency, is not subject to regular property taxes. They pay the county a payment in lieu of taxes, a pilot each year. The pilot formula is 10% of the total rental income, less total utility costs for low rent public housing. The pilot amount fluctuates annually, depending upon the rental income and utility costs. Rental income is based on the income of each tenant. Tenants are responsible for their utilities. Anyways, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners of the NIRHAN, requesting that you consider waiving the pilot, as the rest of our 8-county area has done. The pilot amount for our fiscal year ending September 30, 2020 would amount to $492. So basically, we're waiving that. And in the future, I'm going to assume, correct, Rachel?
Yeah, I've been told that we've done this in the past.
Oh, so this is every year.
I don't know if it's an every year thing, I just know that we've done it in the past.
Okay, so anyways, any further discussion?
I mean, I guess I'm not against it, but I just have the question that's, they have a comment that, where is it here? If we waive it, they would be able to invest the funds back into the property and to continue to improve and maintain the housing conditions. Yeah, that's a statement. Do they actually do it? And, you know, you kind of
guess that's in their ballpark.
Yeah, it's,
Jim, I sit on that board. They
Okay.
do reinvest back in the houses constantly.
okay,
They haven't did any on Mitchell County since I've been part of it. We have 10 houses, 9 of them are currently occupied, 1 is not. But that just happened within the last couple months. But typically all of them are occupied.
so
But
they
they
do,
do, yeah, they're constantly doing updates and repairs.
okay, they do what they say they're gonna do.
Yeah.
That's the thing, as far as, it's easy to make a statement on a piece of paper, but,
Yep, no, they really do.
okay,
But, and this is a nonprofit.
okay,
So,
very good. I just needed to hear something.
thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And my question was, and I don't know if anybody, why are we just getting this when it was ending September 30th? Does it take that long for, or have they brought this to the other board before the first of the year?
Apparently, this is something, Todd, we've been doing every
It's an every year thing.
couple of years or every year.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that, but I just wonder why the time period from.
Well, like us, we didn't get audited till the end of March, and our year ended June 30th of 2020. I don't know.
They did just complete their audit 2 meetings ago. 2 meetings ago.
Okay. Any other discussion? Questions? Hearing none. Do we have any motions to their tax waiver request?
I'll move to approve the lieu of taxes waiver request.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye. That is passed. Moving on, discussion on temporary county redistricting commission.
Okay, so every year ending in '01, we have to redistrict after the census, so we need a commission to do that. There can be 1 board member on there, and you guys have to decide if you want to do a 3-member board, 5, or 7. And with that, 4 of you are Republicans, so let's say you choose 5 members. Between the 4 of you, we have to come up with 3 individuals, and Todd would come up with 2. And they do not have to be a registered voter, but they do have to be eligible to vote in Mitchell County.
So we have to decide whether are we going with 3 or 5,
Or 7.
or 7?
I would move to make a motion that we go with 5.
Todd's made a motion to go with 5.
I'll second that.
Mark has second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call. Todd?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And with that, does anyone want to be on that board? How do you guys? And so, we don't have quorum. I don't know if there's 2 of you guys that want to kind of work together to find 3 people. Since all 4 of you can't be sitting around and talking. I don't know.
I'd be willing to be, we talked to 2 different boards. The board as far as to
The
choose.
commission, sorry.
Yeah, that, I would be willing to be on the board that looks into choosing the commission people.
Anyone want to help them?
I'll help Jim.
Do we have the census numbers yet?
I haven't seen them. They're supposed to be sending a packet too of instructions of what they need to do, and
Will they have the census for each district current?
I think they
They
should.
should,
Yep,
right?
correct,
So you just have to tweak them a little bit,
yeah.
right?
I wouldn't think it'd be too hard since we just
Yeah,
have that
I mean,
redistricting,
yeah.
so. Yep,
Yeah, because you can't split townships, and so you guys have to tweak kind of what you got. You
Yep.
might have to move everything around a little.
correct. So then if you guys can let me know by Monday, so I can get it put on the resolution for Tuesday, we have to have them, approved by resolution by May 15th.
You mean the committee members you have to have?
Yes, correct.
So you'd like
They won't be doing anything yet, we just have to
You
do
just
it.
have to have them.
Yep,
You'd like those named this week?
if possible.
Okay.
So if one of the board members, then they only have to go find 2 other people, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. When does it have to be completed by?
Not sure when
Not
it's,
sure.
no. And I know they've been tossing around a lot of questions about how long it's gonna take, but I think it all just depends on your numbers,
Right.
which I don't have.
Yeah, if the numbers are close, it
Yeah.
should be fairly simple.
Yep,
And then those are volunteer positions, correct?
correct.
And then they get paid mileage, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing we were on.
Yeah, we were on it.
But
That mileage.
other than that, I think that's it.
Oh, so they don't get rich off of this.
No, no. Okay, so have we resolved enough with this to move on then,
Yep.
Rachel?
I think so.
Update and possible action on electronic time clocks. And I guess
So we've looked into a few options. There's one company that works with Solutions, which is our computer system we use for payroll. They costed, I wanna say roughly 10,000 the first year, and then it was between 7,000, 7,500 per year after that. I know we looked, I can't remember the exact price, but Lindsay looked into what, Mark uses, and it was a little expensive, for what she thought was expensive. We looked into the ADP like Mike has, and they have a couple different options. I think one of the big things was holding people accountable to actually be clocking themselves in and clocking out versus having a buddy system. So there's something to hold them accountable, there's a ADP facial recognition. With that, we pay a fee per person per month, I think it's $2.50. We just have to supply the equipment for it, so any sort of tablet. And Casey looked into it and found a tablet, a Fire 7 for $50, a screen protector and a stand. So for like a bundle of all that, it'd be $73 per station, I guess you could call it. We were suggesting 7 places. That would be out at Conservation. There'd be one for the shop in Osage, Secondary Roads, one for the office, then the 3 locations outside, Wrightsville, Statesville, and Sanskrit, and then one in the courthouse. They would be able to, I had the question as far as internet, so if internet was down, they can still clock in, it won't come through the system until the, like, internet is back, then it will come through at whatever time they clocked in. And you guys can completely make up, you can also download the app on your phone where they can, if they're, I don't know everything that Secondary Roads does, but if they're out, they can switch their department on their phone. Let's say they forget to do that, you can still come back in the office and be able to switch it without having to be done. I think I talked, the pay period, I think it's Saturday through Friday, so you have a couple days to fix that before payroll on Monday. What questions do you have? I forgot some stuff.
Big thing is, does cost affect or justify what we're going to do? You know, what's the auditor's office feel as far as the problems that we have with the existing system?
There's a little waiting period, as far as, I believe, Secondary Roads, they have to drive to each of the outside locations to pick up their timesheets. And I know Mullins has to do a lot of corrections if they didn't figure their overtime, I believe correctly, or if they wanna use comp time or get paid out for it. So both of those are, I mean, it can be a little bit more streamlined this way. They have a time period that they can fix it, and if they don't fix it, then they get paid out for that overtime. I also think consistency would be a big thing. Every department, well, not every department, but there's a different timesheet for salary workers, hourly workers. Conservations is different, secondary roads is different. They kind of just make everything more consistent. None of them are the same. Everyone writes on them differently. And then the big thing too, accountability, making sure you're actually there doing your job. We're here, we're getting paid to be here 8 to 4:30. You should be here for those hours, you take a lunch, you come back.
Does the data then just go right to the auditor's office from all
Yep,
these places?
so I would personally request just for Lindsay to have that where she can oversee everyone. I don't want to do it. But in there, just kind of looking through, it will show if someone doesn't clock in or they forget to clock out, it'll give her a notification. So with that, I mean, you guys can kind of do what you want, but let's say someone forgets one time, okay, you can have a warning or, I don't know, really the action just to make sure people are still clocking in, clocking out. Talked a little bit about having, like, Rich and Adam, I know they have a lot of different departments, is that what you want to call it?
We have
or
a lot
codes?
of codes to type
Yeah.
in for the DOT's requirements for,
So with that, I mean, I don't know if the guys know that or if Melissa just does it.
they usually have an idea of what their codes are, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's a matter of how well does that system work with the DOT's.
They have a lot of, I think they call it departments, so you can make it like each number would mean a certain code. So when it comes through on Lindsay's part, she'd be able to type in similar to what Melissa does.
Because we still have to review it anyway to make sure that they're coded right.
Yep, so then with that, like Rich and Adam would be able to still go in and see if someone needs corrected on their codes before Lindsay would get it. But it'd be there, ready for you on like Monday morning versus having to go get them and then go through them all.
I've got a question for you. Falk uses an electronic clock like that, but the departments also limit what you can reach on your app on your phone.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be basically the same deal. So the department would authorize overtime, and then the people would get that on their clock, be able to sign in that as overtime. Have some way to control that.
Yep, from my understanding, you get to just, I think in there, decide if you wanted to go towards comp time, like paid out. And then as far as like sick time and vacation time, you put in on there, a request. So you'd have to approve it, and then it goes in, it has a spot where it says your amount of hours that you have requested, your time off, and then it'll show you what you have remaining. I thought it looked like a lot of good information.
That's the employee can see that.
The employee can see that.
And they can go in there, say on Friday, and see how many hours they have for the week or
Yeah.
whatever too. You can go back 2 weeks, you can go back as far as you want. You can go back and look.
This is the system that you're familiar with.
Yeah, that's the one we use. It's, I mean, it's working good, and it, you know, and it flags if somebody misses a bunch,
Yeah.
you know, so. And it has multiple options for transfers. You can put in as many as you want for transfers, like either you punch in normal or you go to punch with transfer. And then, like say during the day, if it's whatever time you're gonna transfer to something else, you go back in instead of punching out, you punch into a transfer and click
So
where
if
you
they
wanna
switch
go.
jobs in the middle of the
Yep.
day, how do they do that? Do they do it when they get back to the office?
They can do it there, or
Or then we get back, I think.
you can set it up on your phone if you want.
Then the question is if they're gonna use their phones, are we gonna start paying?
Well,
for
no,
phone?
then
Then
have
they
them
can
do
do
it at
it
the
when they get
office.
back to work.
You know, if they're parking a blade and hopping into the dump truck, they gotta have to transfer.
That's their option. If they want to use their phone, that's their option, but there's no.
That's how we have
statute
it
for
there. If you wanna use your phone,
That's,
fine, but we're not
that's
paying.
probably the biggest question that's gonna come up is if
Yep.
I'm using my phone, I wanna get paid for it.
Right,
That's their option.
And
that's optional. That's for their
I don't know,
convenience.
to me, it would be a big deal to use your own phone, you got it with you all the time anyway, but
can't punch in at home when you're late.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and so that's gonna, if you gotta be on the Wi-Fi, then how does that work out? If we've got a guy out there out blading and they gotta,
Transfers, I think, work on the Wi-Fi, but not in and out.
oh, okay.
I believe this, I think it's the
Okay.
way it's.
Now, it's something to learn.
Yeah,
I don't know how it
I think,
works.
I mean, that's,
And like conservation, so there is, I know we talked about Brian a lot, and he'll start out in like Stacyville, because he lives up there. If that's the case, Adam can go, like, call into Lindsay and say, he started at this time, please punch him in. Not a huge deal.
Okay, so I'm seeing our cost to the company is a little under $5,000.
Correct, and that's for
And then our
75.
expense is $511 on us.
Yep, so to purchase of tablets, it'd be roughly 511. This quote is based on 75 employees. I know we get summer help in different departments, so that could vary depending on how many are set up. We also would, for the secondary roads for Sneezer, Riceville, and Stacyville, we need internet connection. And, find it here, Casey had looked that up. It is $89.99 through Omnitel per location. Otherwise, through Verizon, you can get a hotspot. It was $45 plus an $8 hotspot. So it's basically $150 total for those 3 areas, which comes out to $1,400 a year.
Okay.
Rich, does Omnitel, do they have fiber into our shops currently?
I don't know if it's in, I know I can't be positive it's in the shops. I know when they came through and put everything in, they might have it up to the building. I don't know for sure. I really don't. I know we have on the telephone, and I would guess that they're using similar lines.
I just didn't know if the $89 thing would be possibly cheaper if they already are providing a phone service, or, you know, it's a bundled thing.
Well, I don't
Maybe
know, the
cheaper.
$89 one, is that their smallest package for internet or Wi-Fi or?
I'm not sure. I put Casey in charge of that, so I didn't know what I was looking for.
you know, there's probably no place with this many employees that does paper cards either, you know, as far as for punching in and out and stuff, you know, this place does this type of stuff, I think, I don't know.
Osage already has internet.
Yeah, we have internet, and we ran fiber across the shop, so they already have that. But the other 3 shops don't have a Wi-Fi access point.
I asked you some questions yesterday about this fine print on
Yes.
if we buy it or if we lease it. I'd like to have some answers on that too.
Number 7, it talked about renting equipment. So if you were, that's more of having the time clock there, where this is just a tablet. They don't do that when we have to purchase a tablet for the facial recognition. And you guys don't have to do the facial recognition, I just know that talking to a few of you, seeing that, kind of want to hold people accountable and make sure they're the ones actually clocking in. That's probably the best way to go to show if it's them or not. But yep, so number 7 only applies if you have the equipment, depending on which road you want to go.
Do you have any recommendations, Rachel?
What did Casey think of it? Was this,
He thought it was okay, but his first response was, why don't the employees just do what they're supposed to do? But,
well, part of it is
Yeah.
get all the records to Lindsay in a timely manner, too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and for
You're
her, I
working
mean,
one short in that
depending on
office,
what's
too.
going on, takes a while, and that also takes away from anything else that she's doing in there.
You got one person less in there than previous, too, you
Yeah.
know, so.
And she's gonna be in charge of elections, and I know we think election starts in November, but really our process starts months before that. So she'll be busy.
3 of you will have to know this.
Yep, and there is
If we were gonna
training
do
and-
this,
yeah.
because if she's sick or something. you
Right.
know.
Yep,
I mean, that's neat to do this.
and there is a possibility of Solutions said, depending on what we would go with, they'd be able to potentially get like a report pulled from like ADP that they can put into solutions that will populate in there already. But they just would have to see what they have and create something. So there's a possibility of that too, which would make it easier as well.
Where's the codes, Rich? You talked about making sure that it was coded correctly, or just trying to think of how that was gonna work for the time frame for this to flow the way it's supposed to. I mean,
I guess I don't know what the systems entail. I mean, they need to punch in, you know, if they're gonna do, if they're out blading, there's a DOT code for that. They need to put that in. I don't know how that works with downloading it to Solutions, how, you said if you're using this ADP system, you've got one system that's compatible with Solutions that, I don't know, must have had some creation with Solutions, and this other one is not. And Solutions, has Solutions used this ADP thing before, or this is new to them too?
They haven't, but Erica, she works on the payroll and she's been kind of working with Lindsay, that if we were to go a certain route that wasn't with what Solutions is currently using, they can try and create something to make it compatible. Whatever that entails.
So to answer the question about codes, we go through and just, whether they code it properly, I guess they just need to know what code they need to put in. Whether we know, you know, if this person's out blading or driving a truck, we don't necessarily know that all the time. They need to put the right code in, but that really isn't, it's more of a, it's not whether they're driving or blading, it's whether they're in the category of road maintenance versus patching versus anything else. They're more broad categories than actually doing that, which is fine, but we still need to make sure, I mean, Melissa's probably still going to need to make sure that the vacation and the comp time thing is still right before it goes to the courthouse. Because I think right now Melissa puts it all in and then she hits the send button to the courthouse.
Yep.
The issue that I think what I'm hearing is that it takes, we've got to go out to the shops and collect those time cards.
Takes a little longer.
It takes a little longer, then she's got to still review them.
Yeah.
Or we still review them in the office, so. But just making sure there's enough codes, sometimes there's not enough codes that we use. The codes we use sometimes are more general than they could be more detailed as far as the codes we put in. There's so many different codes that DOT wants as far as whether it's a nut or a bolt versus a wrench. I mean, they get too detailed, and so we try to generalize some of that stuff because it's hard to track.
but I don't know if that would, I don't know if that would change a lot though, I mean, because let's just say code 457.
Yep, that shouldn't change anything.
We just plug 457 into this
Yeah,
system
we
and
can keep
that's.
them all the same numbers.
Right, no, that's
Are
fine.
they all
It's just-
numbers, is that?
Yeah, they're all numbers, and then I guess it was, can the software take as many codes as we can
I told them we
provide?
had a lot between two
Okay.
different departments, and they said it.
Yeah,
was
like,
many.
like I have, they have like 37 buildings, and I could go to any one of them 37 buildings and be on there.
I mean, there's obviously just general codes that we use more often than anything else, but
And I don't
sometimes
think there's a
special.
limit on codes you can do that,
Okay.
that I know of. You know,
I know in Worth County sometimes it gets to be an issue when I create a new code that we haven't used in a while, and then the payroll clerk gets a little irritated that something, because it's a big deal to try to add something to the system later on. So if it's gonna be seamless, then
I could see where this would help. They had washouts on the road. FEMA was
yeah, you can
getting involved. This would be one way.
Well, instead of pulling paper out, it's getting on the computer. I can see where it could be a benefit.
Yeah. Big plus there.
that's what the world's going to, it's already there.
Yeah.
They have a time frame of when it will be set up?
So, I mean, I don't think their quotes really change, but they expire after like a week. So we just have to make sure that this is the total number of employees that we really have, that would be on it. Get a new expiration, and then he'd talked last week, it'd probably be the first part of June. That, making sure it takes them a while to get everything set up with all the different codes. And then they wanna make sure everyone's trained on how to use the system.
So it would work for like 1st of July with a new
I would think
budget
so.
year? July 1st.
Well,
I know there's some cost, but there'll be some cost, but there'll be some cost savings too by running around every shop picking up cards and stuff, and somebody looking through them.
Well, we'll still be looking through it, but it won't
there's gonna be some grumbling. I remember when we did it down at the Wallace where I worked, everybody's backing the time clocks up because they're forgetting how to do it. But it's just a process that everybody, I think, well, you've been involved with it, and you have been, I think it'll work out.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for everybody to get used to doing something different, so.
How's the home health ladies doing?
Right now it's paper, but then we also have electronic health records. And 3/4 of our staff are starting all out at different houses. So we don't plan on using it, but because we track in so many different ways already, electronically, so I told her that our agency probably wouldn't be using it.
Well, I know Todd sounded like he was pretty for it. Do we have any motions to that effect to go along with ADP? Is the name of the company, right, Rachel?
I'll make a motion to go with that.
I'll second that.
Marcus made a motion, Todd has second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Rachel?
Roll call, Mike,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye. So this has been approved. So we'll be going with ADP for the electronic time clocks. Moving on, number 15, meetings attended.
Well, I had a Substance Abuse Coalition Board, and they had a vaping presentation, which was pretty interesting. Like one of them bars they put in the vaping thing is equal to 2 packs of cigarettes as far as the nicotine goes. And there's 59 chemicals in them pods and 15,500 different flavors in the marketing today. And the cigarette companies are investing into these vaping companies. So they're presenting it to 6th to 9th graders in schools and trying to point out all the bad things. I never knew. I learned a lot about it. It's just the flavors and the chemicals and they're trying to get the cities to update their tobacco code ordinances. Some of them are still at 18, which it's 21 and nobody's updated their ordinances, I guess. And the tips training for bartenders, they got Sunnybray to have 5 participants in the training. That's it for Mitchell County, and most of them don't want to participate, I guess. So. Then I had a public health meeting, which them girls went over a lot of it, and Mark Ross is gonna be retiring also, so he wants to be done first part of June. So need to get somebody hired for that.
Meaning June 1st or just?
Well, he's flexible, but
Okay.
first part, he said 1st of June or shortly after, right?
Is there any applications yet?
There's either 2 or 3 that have been turned in.
So who reviews that? We do, or?
I don't personally want to do it, I don't know anything about it. He kind of said something about you and Laura.
And the Board of Health would have to be involved with it being the
Okay. So,
county sanitarian.
and I guess you guys are getting the generator then, right? So we're over there.
Yeah, it's ordered.
It's ordered.
Yep.
And I don't know, she went over all the other stuff pretty much. Did you get any update on that VA thing or not?
We're still working on it. Yep.
Still working on it?
Yep.
The VA owes them a lot of money, I guess, for trying to work out the insurance
Yeah, we're
companies.
working with one of the reps with it, me and the billers, so we're working on it. We're getting a little bit closer.
Okay. And just, I don't know, let me know when we want to do interviews or whatever. Okay, that's it, I guess, yep.
Todd, you want to be next or Mark?
I have one with county social services, there's 19 counties on that. We're working on revamping our house in Charles City to hold 5 to 7 clients, children. We got to make it child-proof. They're working on that. Hopefully it'll be done by 1st of July.
And that was where, Mark? In where?
Charles City.
Charles City, okay.
I'm thinking it's old comprehensive systems house. Trying to find staff, which they can't. That's
4809 Highway 218, St. Amesburg. Erickson Style Letter, 4857 Addison Avenue in Riceville.
That's it then?
Yep.
All right, well, moving on, we're down to public comments. I don't see anybody jumping up and down, so Charlie says the meeting's over. So thank you, everybody. Meeting is over.